welcome to another video. In this video we're going to talk through some diagnostic process with an air conditioning compressor clutch issue. So a student brought a car in, he brings it and says, I'm going to put an AC compressor on this car. And so initially they said, okay, well, how do we know that, right? Start talking about, well, they went to a shop, they said that the clutch doesn't work, clutch needs to be replaced, so here I've got this compressor, right? And here's this compressor from O'Reilly's, almost a $600 part. So of course, a good opportunity for the student and I to talk through why do we think it needs this and is this diagnosis right? So we bring the car in, it's this Mitsubishi Outlander, I want to say 2015, and we start working through this process and kind of trying to guide them through, well, what makes the compressor clutch run? So first we get in the car, turn the car on, verify, of course, that the clutch does not run, right? The compressor clutch. So start the car, toggle the AC, not getting anything there. So say, okay, well, go to the wiring diagram, go to the service info. Let's see what's involved. Where's the relay, the fuse, right? So we got them to that. Work through that, hey, the fuse is okay. We talk about the relay, pull the relay out. So here we take the relay out and just quick test with the test light. Look at, do we have the two power inputs, on the action side and the control side of that relay. Both of those light up. Both of those look good. So then we move on to the other side. We talk about, well, let's flip our test light onto positive on the battery, and let's see if we've got a ground path through the clutch, right? This would tell us if we've got at least continuity through the clutch assembly in that coil, and it did, right? That worked. So then we went on to, does the control side for this relay have anything? So we ran the car, cycled the AC, even put the relay back in and really just kind of back probed on that pin. Couldn't get anything, right? So clearly a control issue. I'd say, hey, quick test here. Let's see if the compressor clutch will work. See if it runs. So got a jumper wire, ran the car, cycled it a couple times, short burst. Here it is on the gauge. Compressor runs, great, right? So now talking with a student like, hey, this compressor works, this clutch works, it does not have the ability to turn on, right? And so let's figure out why. So we push over to service info again, have him find this operation for the compressor and go through, well, what are the criteria to make this thing run, right? And so we talk about the air thermosensor, the AC pressure, right? All these things that have to get checked off as enabling criteria to make this compressor clutch run. So have them go through all that. That sparks the scan tool. So we get a scan tool on it. So here we grabbed our OTC Evolve, went through and picked a handful of PIDs and kind of reviewing them. And right off the bat here, really obvious that we got a problem, right? The gauges we hooked up showed that we had pressure in the system. I kind of skipped that, but we did take some time to make sure that, hey, the system had refrigerant pressure before we cycled the clutch. And here you see you got negative pressure on this pressure sensor, right? And so then we unplugged it and plugged it back in, toggled it just to see what, the default would go to. And so here you see when it gets unplugged, we toggle between this -9 and -7 or so PSI. So clearly that's an issue, right? So we talk about that and go on out to the sensor. So at this point, pretty well know that if I unplug and plug back in the sensor, that sensor must be bad. But diligence, right, with the student. So we talk about, well, what does this connector need? Got the voltmeter out, made sure it had the 5-volt reference, and made sure we had some good continuity on the ground side. And we're confident in the signal wire, right, because we saw that change on the scan tool. So fortunately, quick look online, O'Reilly's down the street had the parts, so student was able to go get the part, bring it back. So while he was doing that, I went ahead and recovered the system, pulled all the refrigerant out, got it ready for him when he came back. And when he got back, we were able to put that sensor in. Talked about oiling, putting oil on the O-ring, right? Proper, good practices in that installation process. Got it plugged in, got it installed. Then charged the system and went back to the scan tool. And right off the bat, right, we got 80 PSI on the pressure sensor. Looks great, we're happy with that. And now the system was operational. And one of the really interesting things we caught in this process, the OTC tool is actually the second tool that we looked at. And the first one that a student used was the Snap-on Solus Legend tool. And it was really interesting that the pressure sensor readout was in inches of mercury, which I thought was really interesting. And even I tried to go here under settings for units, and in the pressure I didn't have any choice. I could have gone to kPa, which maybe would have made a little bit more sense, but I thought it was odd that we had inches of mercury. And that delayed us a little bit initially, and when we switched tools it made more sense. So then we got all that done. We did a quick performance check, made sure things were good, make sure vent temps were good. I wanted the student to see that process as well. You know, how do we audit that this whole system's working well? And yeah, it was a good night. Student fixed the car, saved the owner a lot of money, and I think he learned something. Thanks for watching.